Okay, welcome everybody to this edition of Penn's Den. I'm your host, Bill from Penn's Den, home of your five-time Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins. We're here live from the Penn's Den tonight with this broadcast. And before we get started here, I want to thank everybody for viewing some of the videos that I just put out. Thank you guys so much for that. You guys rock. Tonight we're going to give you a preview of round two against the Washington Capitals, and it's like everybody says, "Here we go again." So, that's just kind of the thing. I have just one housekeeping thing I'm going to do here, just to kind of get set away. So, it comes as no surprise. It's just like I probably could have told you before the season began who we were going to be playing in the second round of the playoffs. It kind of seems like that's just. That's just one of those things you kind of knew was going to happen. It just you kind of had that feeling. You kind of knew that when push came to shove, the end of the season, and when playoffs started, Washington was going to be there. We were going to be there, and sometime it's we were going to get together. So again, I want to welcome everybody, not only the broadcast, but if you're watching the replay again. Welcome very much, and thank you very much for watching tonight. This is going to be a different round than the first round, to say the least, without any doubt. It's the Flyers are a different team. As much as we all think of the old Broad Street bully mentality with them, that's gone. That's long gone. One of the things. They're a more disciplined team. I hate to say that, but they kind of lost it near the end there, and of course we all know what their fans did as well. So that's just kind of par for course as far as that's concerned. But going into this game, and I'm going to say one of the things, obviously everybody in Penn's Nation knows that both Carl Hagelin and Evgeny Malkin will not be suiting up for Game 1. Hagelin did not even make the trip. Malkin did make the trip. So we know for at least for Game 1, we're going to be without Malkin, and we're going to be without Hagelin. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about tonight was, in their absence, I think we need to see Derek Brassard ramp it up a notch. I won't say he's been a disappointment, but he had higher expectations than what we're seeing from him. And I fully believe that when we get, when it comes to, when it comes to a line play and scoring, we're going to need Derek Brassard. If we're going to hoist the cup for the third time in a row, Derek Brassard is going to need to participate. I can't say that enough. In Malkin and Hagelin's absence, each of them. I mean, how do you replace a 40-goal scorer like Evgeny Malkin? I mean, you don't. And Carl Hagelin too. Carl Hagelin doesn't score a lot of goals, but I'll tell you what, I'm kind of calling him the new Matt Cullen. On penalty kills, he's just incredible. Absolutely. His ability to clear the zone is fantastic. He's aggressive on the forecheck. Can't say enough about that. And then I also want to talk about some of the unsung heroes for the Penguins too. And then we're going to kind of turn our attention to talk a little bit about the Capitals tonight. Some of the unsung heroes to me against the Flyers, and these guys put in what I'll call yeoman's duty. Riley Sheahan. The guy is a face-off machine. If he doesn't score another goal but wins, 75% of his face-offs during the playoffs, that's fantastic. That's a team player. I mean, being able to do that, that's so huge, especially, if you're in your defensive zone, being able to win a face-off, and especially if, you're on a penalty kill and be able to get the puck out and clear the zone. That's fantastic to be able to do that. Another one who's high on my list and who's had kind of an up and down season and kind of got a feel for him, but the hustle that he showed was very evident, was Connor Sherry. He was all over the place. And it wasn't with reckless abandon. He had a purpose behind it. And I was very impressed with how he did. He really kind of made a statement out there on the ice, said that he wants to be out there, that he belongs out there, and quite frankly, he earned it. I really think he earned it. And of course, one of the other ones is Brian Rust. His work ethic, when he kind of he ramps it up a notch during the playoffs, and boy did he ramp it up a notch. Some of these games he was all over the place. He was after loose pucks, was just absolutely positively fantastic. One of the things that the Penguins, I'm going to look at some factors right now. What the Penguins have to do to win the series. Number one, and I think this is the most important, to stay disciplined. Washington's going to try to sucker them into stupid penalties. And I'm going to say this. Unfortunately, one of our stupid penalty takers, yes, I love you, Gino, but you take a lot of stupid penalties, won't be playing on Monday night. And one of the other stupid penalty takers, who I like a lot as well, is Chris Letang. And, when you get in under people's skin, you get them agitated, you get them irritated, and, you don't want that. That's something the Penguins are absolutely going to need to stay disciplined about. The second thing that the Penguins are really going to kind of need to focus on is if they don't stay disciplined and they get on the penalty kill, they're going to have to ramp that up a notch as well too. They're going to have to jump after loose pucks. They're going to have to clear them. And, everybody says, watch out for Ovi, watch out for Ovi. I say, watch out for Kuznetsov and watch out for Backstrom on the power play. We all know Oshie and Ovi will be out there, but you got to watch out for Kuznetsov. You got to watch out for Backstrom. Those guys will bury it if you give them a chance. You need to stay on it. One of the other things that the Penguins really need to shore up from the Flyer series. I mean, it was fun seeing all these goals scored, but I mean, an 8-5 game. You're not going to win Stanley Cups playing 8-5 games. I'm going to tell you that right now. Yeah, you want to score more goals than your opponent, but you don't want to give up as many. And that's a two prongs right there. The first prong is defense. At times during the Flyer series, I mean, some of those shutouts, the defense was clearing pucks out of the zone. They were quick to the puck. When the Penguins are quick to the puck and they're aggressive forechecking, especially in their own end and getting that puck out of there quickly, they play well. When they're slow to the puck, bad things happen. And we saw that happen on Sunday. We saw some bad things happen because they were slow to the puck. And when the defense is on, it almost always seems like Matt Murray rises to the occasion. He can be a fantastic goalie, especially look at his record after he's like 10-1 after a loss in the playoffs. I mean, it's only lost one game. So, he has a lot going for him. But, there were some very iffy goals during that point in time. There were some that he probably should have had, and he probably would admit that he should have had. So those are some of the things I think the Penguins are going to need to tighten up. And one of the other things is they have to have a shoot-first mentality on the power play. I'm sure Mike Sullivan has drilled this into them time and time and time again. And I don't know if you've seen the meme with Kiefer Sutherland as Jack Butler that I posted several times. And part of my language, it says, "Damn it, Penn, shoot the puck." And he has his gun pointed out. So, that's something the Penguins need to do. They need to adopt a shoot-first mentality, because if they don't on the power play, they can put on the greatest passing clinic since the National Hockey League was formed, back in 1903. And it won't make a bit of difference if they don't get that puck in the net. And I think one of the other things that the Penguins need to do is you can almost count on Holtby to start. And I see him as a key in the series. If the Penguins can get inside his head, if they can rattle his cage, if we can have good old number 72 out in front of the net, shaking him up and stirring the pot up like he does, we get inside his head, we'll win the series. Simply because, we got inside Bobrovsky's head last year. And, once you get inside his head, I mean, it's over. I mean, you win the game. You may not be on the score sheet winning, but you will be winning eventually. You will win that game. So I think those are things from, from a Penguins perspective that we need to see. You know, of course, you know, they don't have home ice advantage in this round. And boy, oh boy, it seemed like this has been a story the past several years against the Capitals. You know, we don't have home ice, but look what we did last year, winning the first 2 away. So, you know, for me, you know, I think they play better on the road playoffs this year, especially. I mean, what a hostile environment in Philadelphia. And look how many games they won in Philadelphia. I mean, that's just crazy. They won 3 games in Philadelphia. So go figure that. I think the things that we need, you know, we need to key on with Washington, you know, and I'll say this again, you know, everybody focuses on Ovi and Oshie, but you need to focus on Kuznetsov and Backstrom as well. Now, Ovi changed centers this year. He no longer, you know, doesn't have Backstrom. He has Kuznetsov, and Kuznetsov has jumped up in scoring as well because of Ovi. And you know Ovi's going to get his chances, and you know he's going to score. The thing is, you want to limit the other ones, because if you can shut down Kuznetsov, if you can shut down Oshie, if you could shut down Backstrom, you know, you're really eliminating a lot of chances right there. You know, I see that as something that, you know, is a key here, because they do that. Excuse me, I want to get a little drink here. You see the Penguins do that, it will make a world of difference, and it'll frustrate them. And one of the things that the Capitals will do when they get frustrated is take stupid penalties. You can almost always count on that. Now, I think the second thing that the Penguins need to watch out for from the Capitals is their antics. I'll put it in quote marks. Mr. Wilson is famous for just being absolutely stupid and reckless on the ice. You know, and dear God in heaven, if we get Macaulay and Peel in one of these games, I don't know what will happen. You know, my personal opinion is those guys need to be fired. I don't care what game they're refereeing; they're just atrocious. They miss stuff where players get hurt, and you know, I think the NHL Players Association maybe needs to speak up about those two, because they're just notoriously just not good. But you know, getting back to that, you know, the guys that you need to watch out for besides Wilson, you need to watch out for Oshie. Oshie dishes out cheap hits left and right, and you know, he turns around, looks at the ref, and says, "Who, me?" And then you have to watch out for Cardboard Brooks. You know, Orpik was a hard hitter when he played for the Penguins, and you know, obviously, you know, when he played for the Penguins, we like that. But I think he's become more of a thug. And, you know, look what happened. Look at his suspension. Look, I think it was it last year or the year before, the dumb penalties that he took, you know, to help us win one of the games. You could probably count on that. So you kind of want to watch out for him. And another one, you know, our former Penguin, Matt Niskanen. You know, we all know the run-in he had with Crosby last year, and you know, the problems that caused, and you know, in the league not doing a zip about it. So you know, that's one thing the Penguins will need to watch. And you know, and I talked with one of my friends on Penn's Den, and she said, you know, we need to, you know, Olesiak needs to stay out of the box, because face it, folks, he's probably our only enforcer. As much as I love number 81, as much as I wear his jersey, as much as I think he's, you know, he's one of my favorite American-born hockey players ever, he's not a fighter. Phil, you're not a fighter. You're a hot dog eater. No, it's true, but you're not a fighter. And I'm going to say this, you know, we haven't seen the results from the big trade that we wanted to see. Okay, and I'll say this right now. We miss Ryan Reeves. I wish we could go out to Vegas and pick him up now. This is where this is going to come to fruition, playing the Capitals here. Penguins are going to have heads on in the back of their necks. They're going to have their heads on a swivel, because those hits are going to come fast. They're going to come furious. Look for a lot of dirty hits. You know, I'd expect that to happen from the drop of the puck tomorrow night at Capital One Center. You know, it's just going to go crazy. You know, they're going to be out there headhunting right away, and you can count on that. The Penguins just need to have a jump to their step, and they need to be aggressive on the forecheck tomorrow night to start the game off. Personally, as far, you know, again, you know, as far as enforcing is concerned, Olesiak needs to do some things, but he needs to not take himself out because he is a good defenseman. And, you know, as far as the defensemen are concerned, I know we talked about that a little bit earlier here, but I want to kind of go back to it for a second because one of the things that I think is important here is team defense. And we're not only talking about defensemen, but the forwards coming back and back checking. And, you know, one of the good ones, and, you know, Carl Hagelin, and he's a great back checker. And, you know, and almost always you'll see Crosby jump in and do a lot of back checking as well. Unfortunately, you know, you don't see Gino doing a lot of back checking. When he does, he's dialed into the game. When he doesn't, it's like he cares less about the game. So I'm hoping that the Penguins can play some good team defense. I know when they play good team defense, the defensive core rises to the occasion. And you see Justin Schultz and Chris Letang, you know, be heads up and be smart about things. And when Chris Letang is overthinking too much, that's when he makes mistakes. He needs to simplify they all need to simplify their game. You know, they can't try these alley-oop stretch passes because you know the Capitals are going to be looking for them. You know they're going to intercept them, and they're going to turn them into scoring chances. They need to have quick breakouts, short passes, get into the zone, get aggressive after the puck, and get in there. You know, one of the other things, and I had mentioned this several times during the year too, and I think now I'm finally starting to see. I love the Wrecking Ball. I love Mark Recchi. He's absolutely one of my favorite Penguins of all times. His enthusiasm, the way he played the game was absolutely fantastic. But I said from the onset of the season, you know, he's got a tall order to fill because he's not Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet was fire every day, period. And, you know, that's that enthusiasm that you saw with Tocchet. I mean, we all know how Tocchet took care of Kessel last year and during his tenure there. He really dialed him in. He really reeled him in. He really made a difference as far as Phil Kessel was concerned. And he got a lot of these guys dialed in and dialed down. With Patrick Hornquist, who can, you know, he is just so full of emotion. You know, he needs somebody to check him and to keep him in check. Well, you know, I finally started to see during this series, Mark Recchi was doing that. And I think it's taken him some time to do that because I think personally, I think he's good at coaching. But, you know, as far as a behind the bench coach, you know, during most of the season, I wasn't seeing that. But now during the Flyers series, I did see some of that. So that is huge. That is very encouraging. You know, and we need that. If we're going to make another run here for the Cup, we need our coaches to be sharp. Of course, you know, you can count on Mike Sullivan for that. Game in and game out, he's sharp. And you know, he's going to be on top of things. Jacques Martin, he is fantastic defensively. He does a great job. You know, the players follow through. They listen to him. He's respected. And I think they're starting to finally respect the Wrecking Ball, Mark Recchi. I think that's fantastic. I think that's something that has sorely been missing this year. And it was so good to see that during the Flyers series. Just want to digress a little bit here. You know, maybe, you know, look ahead to some of the other series that are going on. I'm going to talk about that, especially in the East. You know, I don't know what's going on with Boston and Toronto tonight, but Tampa is a formidable foe. You know, the Cup may go through Tampa this year, especially you know, if you know, if they win, if Tampa wins their next series, the Cup is definitely going to go through Tampa because they have home ice here. And I don't know. You know, I got to tell you this. I'm still I've always been skittish about Victor Hedman and his play, but I watched some of those hits, and one of those hits during the New Jersey series, and I classify him in the category of thug. I mean, they don't call him that around here because what you're seeing back here, folks, if you don't know where I'm from, where I live in Tampa, Florida. Okay, I'm deep in the heart of Bolts country, but look at my wall here. All right, so I just want to let you know. My wife and I, not last year, but 2 years ago, went to a playoff game, and it was a game where Daly broke his ankle, and it was horrible. By the end of the first period, I think it was like 3-0. It was just bad, bad, bad. It was getting worse. Well, during the entire second period, we sat up in the upper level, and my wife and I were heckled the entire time. And it wasn't just this, Penguins suck or this. We were getting screamed at in both of our ears. In fact, it was so loud that after we left, we had to leave at the end of. I never leave a game. We never leave a games. I left at the end of the second period because I couldn't hear. Literally, it took me a good hour to regain my hearing, and we ended up going to a sports bar by where we live. Got some food and watched the rest of the game. I mean, they ended up making it an interesting game. They almost came back, which was great. But everybody talks about Flyers fans and and Capitals fans. Well, I got to tell you this. I love living here in Tampa, but I'll tell you what, Bolts fans, yeah, they're about the same. I mean, they won't go as far as Flyers fans are concerned. They don't do any of that garbage. I do give them credit for that. The other thing that I got to give them credit for at Amalie Arena, where the Bolts play, is whenever you get beer there, this is going back to Philadelphia. Whenever you get beer there, they pour it in a cup, and also they give 20 ounces. They don't have real soda fountains in any concession stands, but they take your cap from you, which they're smart. I got to give Amalie Arena management kudos for that, because taking those caps, putting them in paper cups, which most arenas do, okay? So what do they do at Wells Fargo Center? They give their customers cans of beer, all right? That just was, I mean, how bad is it when you have to do your post-game interview in the locker room here, folks? Come on. I mean, it was just, that's just crazy. That's just absolutely, positively crazy. My predictions for the series, I think it's going 6 or 7. It's going to be one of those kind of series. I don't see a lot of these going to overtime. I see most of them to be decided in regulation. Thank God, because I'd have to buy a defibrillator. I've joked around about it with my wife, but I may want to have one on standby. Who knows? But no, I don't see any of these games going to overtime. I see them decided in regulation. They're going to be close. I don't foresee any blowouts. 6 or 7, and I do see the Penguins winning. I just think, for me personally, and this is my gut. I think the Capitals are kind of snake bit, and no matter what they do, I mean, I saw an article on ESPN what the Capitals need to do to win this series, or the Capitals can win this series, and you see all that all the time. You see that on all the major sports networks. I think it was on ESPN that wrote that article. And everybody is just oh, it's all the Capitals, it's Capitals, it's Capitals. And I think from what I hear, I think Barry Trotz is in his last year as far as the contract is concerned. And well, they said last year it was make it or break it, and losing some free agents and so forth. But they kind of say. They're kind of saying that really is the case right now, that it is Trotz's last year, and this is his last time to shine. Personally, I think he got lucky with the Blue Jackets, and I think the Capitals got lucky with the Blue Jackets, because if Blue Jackets get hot and they get inside there. I mean, they got inside Washington's heads, and I think the difference for the Capitals was that series they went back to Holtby. And I don't think you're going to see Grubauer at all, unless Holtby gets hurt. I think that's what they're going to end up doing. I just don't foresee that being something that is going to come to fruition. I really don't. So tomorrow night at this time, we'll probably be deep in the middle of the second probably getting ready to go. Yeah, we'll be deep in the middle of the second period as the games starts at 7 tomorrow night. So I'm very hopeful. I'm excited. I think they have an excellent chance. If they do the things that we talked about earlier, number one, above and beyond, stay out of the box, be disciplined, be aggressive on the penalty kill, be aggressive on the forecheck, go after loose pucks, play good team defense, and shoot the puck on the power play. Dear God in heaven, I can't say that enough. And I think, like I said, the things to watch out for with Washington, everybody talks about, like I said, Ovi and Oshie, but you need to watch out for Backstrom and Kuznetsov. Those guys can bury it just as well as Ovi and Oshie. And one of the other thing, and the other things that the Penguins need to watch out for is the lack of discipline from Washington. And Mr. Wilson, Cardboard Brooks, Matty Niskanen, Oshie, those guys are notorious for dirty, cheap heads. And Penguins are just going to need to keep their heads screwed on straight. And I think one of the best examples before I close here, one of the best examples was from 2016 in the finals when Jumbo Joe hit Sid, cross-checked him. It was like multiple times right in a row, and Sid just kept on moving, moved his legs, kept going. And it was out, of course, out in San Jose. But that really that made a statement to the team that said, you know what? Don't take their crap. Just play through it, and we'll find a way to win. And that's what happened. And that's what I see the Penguins doing. I see them playing through it. The more they play through it, the more they ignore it, the better they will be. And like I said, I'm saying the Pens in 6 or 7 here. And like I said, I don't foresee any real overtime games. So, and as time permits during these games, I know tomorrow night's I'll call it a school night. We may have some of these post-game wrap-up sessions here if time permits, especially on the weekend. There will be some post-game wrap-up sessions. So, I hope you like the venue, the change of venue here. Instead of having in the kitchen, I decided to, my wife graciously let me borrow her table. Thank you, dear, to be able to do this in the Pens Den. And I hope you like the Pens Den. And by the way, you can always, if you want to see a tour of the Pens Den, I do have a video of that on the channel, so you guys are welcome to do that. I hope you guys watch this. I'm very hopeful for them. I'm very excited about it. And let's go Pens. Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.